Tax Talk.
Ah, Mr. Gig Guy. What a pleasant surprise.
Welcome to Tax Talk.
If you want help with anything to do with your tax, from registering to if you're already a taxpayer, any help with doing your tax return, or even if you're in trouble, or even if you haven't registered for a long time, please just click on the link below, get in touch with us, and more importantly, you give the reference GG1 and you'll get £25 off your first year with us. So any problems you need, click on the link below. Peace.
So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about keeping books and keeping records. So if you're a driver and you want to know exactly what you can claim for, listen in. All right. So Gary, as a driver, spend all the day on the road, driving. You know, we've got a vehicle to maintain. It's got to be refueled or recharged in some of the green cases. What can we claim for as a taxi driver, as a private hire driver? What things can we claim for, and how does it affect our tax at the end of the financial year?
Okay, so let's establish what we're actually talking about. And we spoke in the previous video about the basis of taxation. Mm-hmm. Everything you earn, that's everything you spend, yes. And what's left over is your profit, and that's what you're taxed on. Okay. So let's look at this bit: is everything you spend on your business. So when we're talking about claiming, what we're actually saying, you don't get your money back. Mm-hmm. And what they say is that you will claim the cost of your expenses against your money you're earning, yes. to lower your net profit, mm-hmm. and therefore pay less tax. Okay. So the HMRC says you can claim for anything that is only for the use of the business. Yes. And remember, they know about private hire, they know about taxes and everything else, but this is a rule for everybody. So it's up to us to set the definition of what a claimable business expense is. And when we're looking at our industry, it's really very simple, because when you buy something, you actually buy an asset, something big, a capital asset, which is plant and machinery. Mm-hmm. What's our plant and machinery? It's the car. Yes. So that is treated in a slightly different way. I'm not going to bore you about it now. If you really want me to riffle on about capital allowances, annual investment allowances and the rest of it. But suffice to say, when your vehicle is a big expense, yes. And there's a way of writing some of it off to reduce your tax bill. I'm not going to be more boring than that. Everything else is classed as an expense. Yes. So if you put fuel in, mm-hmm. if you charge it up to the electric, yep. and claim back the electric, other expenses are the insurance that you pay. Mm-hmm. And then there's some more controversial expenses. And at this stage, what I would explain is that the HMRC has guidelines. Now, I'm an accountant, but I'm quite a stroppy accountant. So okay. I firmly believe that when the HMRC sets guidelines, that's not law. The tax law is, yeah. You've got to claim for your genuine business expenses. But I would say, even if the HMRC gives you a guideline, it's got to be fair. So what do I mean by that? Mm-hmm. You're a driver. If you drove for 8 hours without eating or drinking, mm-hmm. or sustaining yourself, would you be more or less dangerous?
You're going to be way more dangerous.
Right.
Yes.
So to actually supply yourself with food for health and safety, to ensure that you are doing the job to the best of your ability, that's subsistence. Yes. Subsistence is to subsist to be able to function. Mm-hmm. Now, the HMRC says they're not going to pay for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Yeah. But if you're not at home, mm-hmm. and you're working outside of 9 to 5, mm-hmm. any private hire drivers or taxi drivers out there that work within 9 to 5? Yeah, no, of course not. So it means that you have a right for health and safety reasons to get food in. So you're entitled to claim for subsistence. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to tell you here and now, there were other accountants that will argue with me, yes. but we would fight tooth and nail to show that you've got subsistence. Other things that you can claim for, chauffeurs, if they have a paper or water or something in the car, okay, that's an expense. Yes, you know, for the client. If you go and get your car repaired, and you have to get a taxi home, yep, that's still a business expense.
If you get your car serviced,
Absolutely.
Likewise.
The servicings of cars.
Yes.
Anything relating to, if you buy a little blankie for it in the winter to keep the screen warm, it's a business expense because this is your business tool. If you wear, now it's a complicated one, but you can claim for workwear.
Yes.
Gucci have a driving shoe. Never met a driver that's bought one. Okay. Apart from that, you probably can't. You can't claim for shoes in general because there's no such thing as a specific driving shoe. But and also you can claim for uniform. The HMRC says a uniform has got to have your company logo on it.
Yes.
So put a company logo on it. But if you're buying clothes specifically for the job you do, so if you are, I mean, if you're an HGV driver and you get steel toe cut boots, that's a business expense. So you can see, without getting too boring, because I know that we're talking to taxi drivers, chauffeurs, private hire drivers, the full gamut of the high reward industry. But look at the job that you're doing and look at what is genuinely considered as a business expense. Guess what? You do your books and records at night, sitting at home in your house.
Yes.
There is a write-off you can get for preparing, because that's admin. That's for your business. So you can have a write-off. Now, let's not go down this line of talking office from home, because it gets very complicated.
Yes, indeed.
And also because if you tell them that there's a certain amount of your home as an office, and if you own your own home, they're going to turn around and say that you're turning it into a business premises, therefore you'll be subject to capital gains tax. Nonsense. However, there is a claim back you can make for working from your home as an office. Even as an accountant, I've got space in my house where I go home and I sit there and do people's taxes and things, because my wife locks me in the room at the top of the house to do it. But that is business space for the purposes of, and if I use light and heat, there is a write-off. So it's a very, very broad spectrum. It's not as simple. Mobile phones. If you're honest, once again, most chauffeurs don't get their job through an app. And well, they're increasing they are, but anyway, but a chauffeur may well use his mobile phone to confirm that the client's there. You may well use your mobile phone because if you've got somebody that was supposed to be where they're not supposed to, you've then got to phone them to find out where they are.
Most definitely.
Right, your apps are downloaded onto your phone, so it's a legitimate business expense.
Yes,
I've gone into maybe more detail than everybody would like, but this is the point about it: is you have to think very, very carefully what is a genuine business expense. There are things where even I would say, don't take the mickey. The HMRC aren't silly. And also, always remember, when they look at your tax return, they are comparing you with 180,000 or whatever, 250,000 other people around the country. So if you start coming out with weird things, but the private hire industry also tends to include tour guides. It also includes people that have a broader brief than A to B, roadshow and everything else. So there we are. It's important to recognise that when it's relating to the business, it's an expense that you're entitled to claim, and the more that you claim for, the lower your tax liability is.
There you go. Yeah. So the key is keeping hold of all of your receipts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you make a purchase, or you service your vehicle, or you buy some parts for your vehicle, etc., keep those receipts. Yeah. It may come in handy later on when you do your tax return. Okay. If you've got any questions or any comments or any suggestions about anything in regards to the content in this video, leave them in the comment section below. As always, we're going to filter through them, pick out the best comments, and then we'll revisit this topic at a later date with some of those answers to some of those questions that appeal to the wider audience. So I am the Gig Guy London, and this is
Gary from DriverTax,
and we're signing out. Peace.
Peace.